Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webcast. My name is Michael Tronto, and I'm a strategic account specialist at Microsoft. I'm also joined on today's webcast with Jim Patterson, who leads in a business development role, and Matt Wiley, our product and technology expert. Today, we'll focus on Show Me the Project Data, Project Online, and Power BI. After the webinar, you will receive an email with a copy of the recording and the slide deck so you can review. The line will not be open for questions, but you can type in your questions via the chat feature on your right-hand side. So if you want to know about Microsoft and who we are today, we are a Microsoft joint venture that was founded in 2002. We provide consulting, business process outsourcing, managed services, and global support for staffing. We are a triple gold certified Microsoft partner. Less than 1% of partners ever have that designation. We're certified in project portfolio management, collaboration and content, and cloud productivity. From a project and portfolio management standpoint, we have a deep expertise in Project Online and Project Server. So we have a lot of experience helping organizations maximize their efficiency and technological advantage. We have a footprint all over North America and internationally. I will now hand off the webcast to Jim Patterson. Jim?
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate the introduction. Welcome, everybody, and thanks for spending some time with us today. Let's get into the topic today of Show Me the Project Data with Project Online and Power BI. Just a little something on the agenda today. We're going to go over just some brief Project Online concepts and benefits for you and how that dovetails with Power BI and giving you an overview of some of what it provides and some of the benefits there. We'll also talk about some concepts regarding PPM specific types of reports and insights that you can get using the Power BI technology. And then I'll hand off to Willie for a demonstration of those things live so you can see those things in action. And then we'll provide a summary and wrap up where we can address some questions that you put in the chat panel, as well as giving you some next steps if you're interested in looking at these things further. All right, let's get started. So from a Project Online perspective, often called Microsoft PPM or Project and Portfolio Management, it's really meant to be a comprehensive end-to-end solution that takes you all the way through the project and portfolio management process, whether it be from a strategic perspective of early ideation, all the way through formal project requests and business cases, through building high-level plans so that we can actually have enough information to decide whether or not to actually do these projects, through more detailed planning that we can use to execute in very tactical ways on the projects, all the way to successful outcomes on those projects. And it's all built on the Microsoft Cloud. So all of the collaborative tools, insights, which we're going to talk about today, which is really reporting and analytics and visibility into that information, and then extending those capabilities in the Microsoft clouds with things like Microsoft Flow and Power Apps to build applications to tailor these things specifically for your organization. So all in all, it's easier than ever to get into these technologies in the Microsoft Cloud because you don't have to manage or purchase infrastructure or make capital investments to get started. So if you think about this being Project Online as a PPM digital workplace with all these end-to-end capabilities, and you don't have to tackle all of them to get value out of the solution, but they're all there as you grow in your maturity and in your capabilities. But not having to manage the infrastructure piece, the Microsoft Cloud managing that piece with redundant data centers and all the security, SLAs with 99.9% uptime, compliance and independently audited processes, and all those things are there. But the cool part is that Project Online, even though it's licensed separately, is part of the Office 365 cloud, meaning if you're an organization that uses Office 365 for general business productivity, your email and your documents and collaboration socially and all the other things around that, it becomes just part of that overall user experience, meaning you can get very robust project and portfolio management capabilities right from within your existing Office 365 infrastructure. And so many folks have already transitioned to it or in the process of making a move there. So it's very easy to just add this into the mix. And there's a lot of benefits for Project Online in general. And our goal today isn't really to give you that perspective, but part of those is really about the strong reporting and decision-making tools. As we'll see today, Project Online and the data that it generates, because it generates very rich data sources, when tied together with the views that are in Project Online itself, and then further tying that with a native feed to Power BI, gives you strong reporting, dashboarding, and analytics, and really gives you some good decision-making tools and decision support real time from your use of that Project Online system. So if we think about really the digital age and organizations really moving towards a digital transformation in ways of doing business, the idea here is that Microsoft PPM is just one node in that Microsoft cloud. We'll talk today about how it dovetails with Power BI over on the left-hand side and Office 365, but all kinds of other things like Visual Studio for software development and code management, Dynamics 365 for general business solutions in the Microsoft cloud, and lighter weight solutions like Office 365 Planner all work together to give you really a lot of power and a lot of insights into the information on all things you're working on. So let's move and transition into the topic of BI itself. And we'll put it in the context of project and portfolio management today. But from an evolution of BI, in the old days, we used to have to depend on IT and folks with technical skills who actually were report developers and could write code to help us get the reports and business intelligence that we wanted. So we really depended on IT to give us those things. The next wave or next generation of that, we didn't really depend on the glass house in IT any longer, but we did need specialists or analysts to be our brokers for that, and they actually have to go either create or request those types of reports for us in the solutions, and we needed specialists to really help us as the business end user to get that. Now, with things like Power BI and the third wave, end user BI is there for everyone on a self-service basis. We can actually develop reports. We can actually use some very business-friendly ways and non-technical ways to get that information and query it, meaning that we're not dependent on very technical information or having a developer at our hip to get that information today like we used to in the past. So in this new generation of BI, we really want to turn data into business insights, but there are challenges to that. Some of the challenges are, how do we get an end-to-end view? Because data often resides in disparate locations and it makes it difficult to get a complete picture of your business. If we're in multiple divisions and our enterprise is scattered and we have a lot of different business units, et cetera, it's how do we get that all together in one particular lens? Also, multiple data sources. Because we have all different types of work and all different needs and complex organizations, we have data residing in a lot of different SaaS or cloud solutions, on-premise solutions, and other external locations. And sometimes it's difficult to access and refresh that securely. And the idea is, how do we bring this together so we're getting all information together without having to do a lot of manual mashup of information? And then the right data for the right users at the right time. So people have different roles and different needs, and business users need the latest operational data so they can make decisions and adjust and make tactical decisions on which way to turn as different situations arise and conditions in the marketplace change. So the idea is that we have to have quick turnaround. We can't wait like in an accounting system to wait for the end of the month for financials to be audited and maybe have the information we get be maybe 30 days old. So in this world, we've been doing a lot of spreadsheet jockeying, meaning we've been mashing up data, creating massive spreadsheets, and sometimes, we've been in this kind of an eye chart situation where we have a lot of data, but maybe not a lot of interpretation and information. So what if instead of looking at your data like this, which can often look like this, really turning it into information, blah, 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 or trying to make Excel via almost like in a steroids kind of way, do things that it can do, but maybe not easily, and also have things done in a very fragile basis where things like formulas and data can disappear or be deleted. The idea is, getting out of this more manual process. What if we could do things like this, where we had more actionable insights, where it not only gives us pictures, but things that are interpretable or things that we can drill into so we can take action on them? What if we got valuable information that was direct to us in personalized dashboards? What if we could view data like this in actionable insights, where based upon the needs of your organization, you could get a quick view of key metrics and things of health on your projects and your portfolios that could give you very quick indications of where you need to drill into, and by exception, what you need to focus on from a problem perspective, and maybe leave alone the things that are going well, and easily navigate to those problem areas via this reporting. Or what if you could do trending? What if there's key metrics you look at, like in an organization, where dynamically, based on the execution of your projects and just by managing that project management process in Project Online, what if you could get things like budgets and cost variances and see whether we're trending up or down, whether we're gaining on it, a number of late tasks or number of issues. Are we raising issues faster than we're closing them? All kinds of metrics that are important to you can then be trended on this on a dynamic, natural output way. The key here is to try and get this information as a natural output as opposed to having to be a project in and of itself for you to get this information each and every reporting period. And what about predictions and forecasts like this? We're capturing rich sets of data, and based upon trends and where we're headed, to be able to graph these things and actually predict almost in a Monte Carlo fashion within a certain amount of probability where those trends say we will end up within a certain likelihood of probability, and be able to filter those things down based upon the specific programs or projects or portfolios that you're interested in at that particular time. Or what if you could just share this data? So not only is this data available and these reports are being rendered, what if you could easily share these things so basically people can actually get links to these reports sent to them, so they can just basically click on a link and get the information they want based upon the way that you share that, or maybe even have that on a time scheduled basis on a way that they would actually receive those reports. Or what if you could actually have alerts? What if you had personal reports or dashboards where, if, say, you were looking at the cost component of this and you wanted to see an alert with a link to this report or some information based upon the fact that that cost number maybe exceeded this $2.5 million that are here. The idea is you can have the frequency and the thresholds established so that you get notified on things that are of importance to you and that cross barriers or thresholds that would be problematic if they occurred. And what if you could actually use familiar office tools to render these types of reports? This slide is really rendering, and we're going to see this in the demonstration today, where instead of clipping static pictures into your PowerPoints, what if you could embed live reports from Power BI into PowerPoint, such that you can navigate that with a fresh data set each and every time you open up that PowerPoint, and not recreate or modify that PowerPoint every time reporting was done during every reporting cycle. And then the liaison and the access from the business user. What if, just like you would actually do a search engine search in Google or Bing, for example, what if you could just type in a question or a statement and have it automatically, with that natural language, build you a report or a chart based upon that natural language query, and then be able to pin that to your own personal dashboard? These are the things that we're talking about in this new wave, or this current generation of reporting and business intelligence. And then obviously in this day and age, if we can't go mobile, it's not of much value to us. Being able to use a mobile app in Power BI in order to render the dashboards that are important to you and get those things on any device, your tablet, your phone, whatever it might be, you're not have to be tied to your computer to get that information. So if you think about this new generation of BI, we talked about some capabilities there in general, but it's really about turning project data into project insights that are personal for you. If you stop thinking about reports that are getting pushed out and then you just gleaning the pieces of those things that are important to you, think about a data set instead. Think about the concept of Pinterest, where you pin things that are of particular interest to you, and not Outlook, for example, where you get everything in your email inbox. It's really about learning to tell a complete digital story and having that story be focused to you and the audience that's interested in this particular report. So more and more BI is becoming a more personalized experience. So all of this built in Power BI, it's really easier than it would sound, or easier than you would think. In Power BI, you can use a variety of data sources, whether it be an increasing number of SaaS solutions in the marketplace. Microsoft and non-Microsoft ones alike have out-of-the-box services that will actually feed that data into Power BI for reporting. And the idea is that you can use that. You could use on-premise data from current solutions. You could use organizational content packs, which are data sources from external data services. Whether you have other workloads up in Azure for Microsoft, you could get data from those. You can even use files like Excel or CSV files as data sources to supplement the data that you're using in these dashboards, as well as any other files that you might have. And the idea is that once we have those data sources, and reports can be based on multiple data sources, we can actually use these content packs or report packs to render different visualizations, live dashboards, reports, and have immediate data fresh on these types of things so that we can get those reports, we can do sharing and collaboration, and get the information in the right hands of the right people at the right time, which is really the goal of all this. Now, from a project online perspective, there's a number of different options that you get without having to do anything. Microsoft offers a Microsoft Project Online content pack, which has a series of reports that you can have at no charge to basically render your Project Online data in Power BI. Nothing to do but actually download or install the content pack, and then you're up and running. Here we're looking at a cover page that you can drill into one of these reports or tiles and get into more detailed reporting from that. And then you've got folks like us at Wickersoft, where we have a 1 ppm for Project Online, which is a pre-configured kickstart value-added type of configuration for Project Online to give people all the things that most people do, as well as some other value-added apps in there. But part of that application is a pack of additional Project Online reports, now in excess of 40 of those reports that you can get in addition to the Microsoft ones that are actually included in that configuration. And the idea here is this report pack has, it says 35 here, I believe it's now over 40 reports that are out of the box, whether they be an overall project and portfolio dashboard, whether it be project status, resource status, cost management, timesheet information, all the different things that people want to see. And we're going to show you some of that today in the demonstration. And if we take that to a next level, there's all kinds of things that you can do with back-end data stores and data sources, trending and snapshotting of information, ongoing updates to reports as they get added to these report packs, and connections with a lot of other third-party apps. So the One Analytics from Wickersoft really gives you the ability to report on anything from anywhere and use Power BI as the central focus for your visualizations and your reporting and your dashboarding. So with that, enough of the concepts, and let's go see some of this stuff live. With that, I'll turn it over to Matt Willie and let him show you how this stuff happens in action.
Perfect. Sounds good, Jim. Thank you. All right. So I'm logged in here into Power BI. Power BI is your personal portal to all of these reports. So when you come in, in a lot of systems, you may see, all of the different reports that may be there, and many of them may not be relevant to you. In Power BI, I'm only seeing the things that have been shared with me or I've created. So it's all very personable to me. Where it all starts, though, is with data. And there are lots of places you can get data from. So if I come and I say get data, I can get that from my organization, from files, from databases. There's a ton of different connectors in here to all kinds of online services as well. Things like Adobe, like Dynamics 365, so on and so forth. And one of those happens to be Microsoft Project Online. So that's how we can connect up and then get all of that data out. On the back end, it's actually using an OData feed to pull this data in and such. So once we have the data, we can then build our different dashboards and reports and such. And as Jim mentioned, though, we have a pre-built set of reports based off of the Project Online data and all of the different capabilities and features and functions in there that you might expect. So for example, if I go into reports here, we'll see we have a report around project requests, around project portfolio status, costs, project status, resources, timesheets, etc. And let's dive into some of those and take a quick look right now. So if I go into the project portfolio status report, this particular report is really meant so that if I am someone who wants to look across a lot of different projects within a portfolio or multiple portfolios of projects and get a better idea of how those projects are doing, what's the status, what's the cost, so on and so forth, I can do that all right here from this report. So this can be a higher level executive or manager type of report. On the home page, I see some high level pieces of data showing me things like average projects by health. So I can see some of our projects are in the red, some of them are in the yellow, most of them are green within the pie chart here, etc. And then I can utilize the links on the side or the tabs across the bottom to kind of jump in and look at the things that I want. Let's start with a high level summary. I can just click on summary there and it'll drop me into the summary page. And so now what I'm looking at is all of the different projects that we're managing in Project Online. I have them grouped here by portfolio, but we could group them by program or department or whatever makes sense for your organization. These reports are editable, easily tweakable, to be able to kind of make them more fit what you're looking to do. And then we're looking at a list of all the different projects and the status of those projects. So what's their overall status, schedule status, work, resources, costs, issues, etc. And I can see, okay, 3 of these projects are off track. We have some overdue issues, 16 projects are behind schedule, some of our projects are over budget, etc. From here, though, we can filter this down. What if I just want to look at the projects where overall status is red? The really bad projects, so to say, I can focus in on that. Or if I want to pop into the yellow ones, I can do so, or look across all of them. I can look at a specific portfolio. I just want to see my cost-cutting portfolio of projects, all the projects we're doing to try to cut costs, or a specific project type, or whatever it might be. So once you kind of get it filtered down to how you want it, then we can start to drill into other pieces of data. You can also be actionable from here, though, as well. So, for example, here's my VoIP phones project. If I come here and I click on this little link, that will actually link me to that project in Project Online. So say if I wanted to update an issue or a task or a project or the schedule or whatever it might be, then I can link over there to that particular project, and then I can make those particular updates here in Project Online. And then that will then in turn roll back into the report. So as long as you're keeping Project Online up to date with all the latest data, then your reports will be up to date as well. You don't have to manually go and build these each time. They're just sucking in the latest data as things happen. And then people can consume it in different ways, which we'll see in a sec. Going down the line here, we can also start to look at the timeline of these different projects. When are these things happening? And so I can come here and see when these are laid out, what the pipeline's looking like of requested projects and approved projects, and we have 30 in progress projects. And again, we can utilize our filters and such. And we can focus in on any particular thing on any page if we choose to do so as well. So I can make this a full screen view of the timeline, and I can even collapse all the details on the side if I just want to look at it. So it's all very interactive and kind of drill in and click in and zoom and whatever you're looking to do. If I'm interested in schedule information, how are we doing from a schedule perspective? This is actually showing all the same projects that we have selected, but it's showing more schedule-related information like duration variance. How far off are we from what we estimated we would be? I can look into cost information, budgets versus actuals and what's remaining, as well as bring in benefits and metrics like ROI or NPV or IRR or whatever you might be tracking from a financial perspective. We can even do time phase reports. So look at costs over time. This is budget versus actual costs over time. And if that line goes over at any point, then we know we're running over, and we're doing a cumulative cost over time to see if we're running over or under, how's our burn rate, those types of things. And we can do then the same on the work side of things. We estimated we were going to spend this many hours to do these projects. Here's what we've actually spent, what's remaining, the variance between those. And such there, as well as we can show that over time. We can even get down into the more details of these projects. So now this is looking at issues across all the different projects that we've selected, and utilizing the pie charts and the filters and such, we can continue to filter this down and drill in. I just want to see the high priority issues. I can click on that part of the pie chart and it will focus down and just show those, just as an example. Getting into risks, we can do risk matrices or matrices within Power BI. So this particular one is showing where the risks lay on the matrix. If you have more higher impact, higher probability ones, that's probably a problem. Notice those are lit up in red. Ones that are down there aren't as big of a problem. Those are lit up in green, so on and so forth. So we can see how risky our portfolio of projects is looking at very quickly as well. And then even get into the different change requests and any other information for that matter that we might want to add into this to add to the set. So again, you can start at a very high level, executive summary of our projects and how they're doing with the KPIs and such, and drill all the way down into just the critical issues if I wanted to do so with just a few clicks. So that's one example of one report. As I mentioned, there's a lot and we're not going to go through them all today. But another example real quick that we can jump into is a very common type of report that people manually generate in PowerPoint or Excel or Word or other things today is a simple project status report that's focused on one particular project that might go out to stakeholders, to managers, to customers, whoever it might be. And so this particular report here is for one particular project. Right now I'm looking at the VoIP phones project, and I can see some high-level information around this project, start dates and due dates, and the high-level KPIs here. I can see upcoming milestones, if there's any tasks to be completed this week, delayed tasks, risks, issues, whatever it might be, all shows up here. And then if I want to drill down into more details, I can come in and I can go through the different tabs here to get more information around what's going on. So I can get into the schedule details of this particular project. Are we hitting our milestones or not, and how are those laid out? I can get into the financials of the project, into resources, issues, changes, all the same things if I'm looking to come in and get more details around that. So again, start with the high level and then drill down into what you might want. The really cool part too is this is all very easily consumable. So for example, if I come to this page here and I wanted to print this out to a piece of paper, I could come here and I could say print, and I could print that to PDF or a piece of paper. If I publish this to the web, I can just share a link with someone and say, here you go, here's a link. You can come check this report out anytime and get all the latest information yourself. I can actually also embed this into SharePoint / Project Online. Project Online is actually built into SharePoint. And so instead of having to leave your Project Online site to get a particular report, we can actually embed these reports right into SharePoint or Project Online. So this here, what we're looking at is the same report we looked at earlier, and it's actually a live working report. So I can still utilize all the different tabs and the filters and the drill-ins and everything right from within here. So you don't even have to leave to go out to Power BI and look at reports if you don't want to as well. Again, lots of ways that we can consume these. Last one there was export to PowerPoint. There are multiple options for exporting to PowerPoint. I'm going to pull up PowerPoint here. One that I really like allows you to come in and the same thing I just showed, where the report is actually live and I can click through it and drill in and drill out. I can do that here right within my PowerPoint and utilize all the features that we've been seeing. And so if I have to do a presentation every week, every month on, say, the status of our projects and our resources and time and whatever it might be, I can insert those into my presentation. And then next week or next month when I need to do the presentation again, instead of having to go take screenshots and put it in and just having those static pictures here, I actually have live dynamic reports. And I can just hit this little refresh button and it will pull in the latest data. My presentation's ready to go and I don't have to go and do a lot of manual stuff to get it ready every time. So lots of cool ways that we can consume these and or present them to other people. One of my favorites is subscribing. So I can then come in and subscribe to one of these and say I want it daily, weekly, however often I might want. It'll send me an email with this particular report. I can click the link from the email to come into here if I want to get into the full version of it, or if I'm okay with that, then I'm good to go there. So lots of cool ways. But then where it really starts getting fun is where we can get actionable on these things. So for example, if I come into this dashboard here, this is our Agile PPM portfolio dashboard. I'm actually tying multiple types of data together here. On the right side, I'm bringing in Agile data from our Agile tool, in this case VSTS, but it could be Jira or others. And on the left side, I'm bringing in data from Project Online, and or a combination of those if we're doing any integrations. But from here, I can look at these dashboards and I can drill into any different piece that I want, as well as I can start to set up things like alerts. So if I come here and set an alert on my portfolio cost, maybe I want to get notified every time cost goes above a certain threshold, like our KPI threshold, for example, and it'll start sending out alerts every 24 hours, at most once an hour. You have lots of different options on how you want this to work. So lots of cool things you can do. Now let's say I need to build an ad hoc report, and I'm not the most technical user in the world. I'm not a developer by any means. Let's say I'm more of a business user, but I need some information. Someone asked me for something, or I need to kind of look into something to get more information. How can I do that? Well, a really great way to do it is using a feature called natural language query. All that means is I can come in here and I can type in a question and it will find or build a report for me based off of what I typed in. So for example, I'll do one here. around resource management. I can do something like show average. And notice as I'm typing, it's going to kind of help me out here and give me options for things that I might want to do. Show average. Let's do work variance by, I'm going to do it by project name, something like that. So we can come in, we can type these out, and as I said, it will kind of help you out there. And then it just actually created this report based off of what I typed in. If there was a report that already existed, it would also find that, but it can also create them like it did here. And then you can even change it. So you can go, actually, I want this to be a column chart. And you just type in column, and then it'll flip this over into a column chart. Or if I want it to be a pie chart or whatever it might be, I can type those different things in there and get it to update and change and do what I want it to do. So lots of cool ways that you can utilize that to come in and build reports, and then you can actually pin these back to this dashboard, and I now have a new report that I just created without having to put in X's and Y's and do all kinds of things like that. There's a lot of analytics type features built into this, and it uses machine learning and other technologies to be able to do this. But you can just come into a particular set of data, like all of my project requests, all these requests that are coming in, and go, I want to see interesting things statistically about what's going on with our project request, and it will go and find trends for you. So I come in and I say view insights on that piece of data, and you can actually do that on any report that we saw earlier, etc. It'll go through and figure out, okay, here are some things that might be interesting to you based off of the data we looked at, trying to show you where there are trends, where there are outliers, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. Some of them can be very useful. Some of them might not be so useful. But for example, here it's saying customer has noticeably more project types. So meaning we have a lot of customer projects going on, not so many hardware and software. If you like one of these insights, you can just simply pin that back to your dashboard as well. So I now just got other reports into my dashboard without having to really do much of anything, just saying, hey, show me some stuff I might be interested in. So again, it's really changing the way that we do reports, changing the way that we can give people access to these reports and consume them, and making it a lot easier and a lot less friction so that people can get the information they need to be able to make better decisions without having to spend weeks and months and such to try to get these answers. And by then the data can already be old and out of date, right? This is always up to date. So with that, hopefully you can see the power there, and how Power BI works, and there's a lot more that it can do. That's just kind of the high level. But with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Jim for just a few more closing slides, and then we'll let you guys go for the day. There you go, Jim.
All right, thank you, Matt. Let me take presenter back here. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right, terrific. All right, looking at the summary wrap-up slide?
Yep.
Terrific. All right, so let's wrap up. Just a little bit of a wrap-up about Wickersoft. We're happy to engage with you if you want to find out more and look at these things in more depth. We have been around since 2002, as Mike said, a joint venture with Microsoft. We provide any of the consulting, additional business applications and services and staffing you might need to help supplement this stuff. And we have a lot of credentials in this project and portfolio management, collaboration and content and cloud productivity areas. We are a one-stop shop, so whether or not there's applications that we can help you with, both Microsoft and ones that we've developed, as well as consulting services around getting the most out of them in your organization, and then education and training so that adoption goes well within your organization, as well as that staffing services and even managed services. We have organizations that actually have us administer these things for them if they don't have the staffing or the bandwidth, or they have more of an outsourced contingent strategy on the way they do these things. We talked about Project Online and Power BI today, but anything in the Office, Microsoft Cloud, Office 365, Dynamics 365, with project and portfolio management using Project Online, more agile and software development with Visual Studio, more general collaboration in a digital workplace using SharePoint and SharePoint Online, and then really extending that kind of capabilities to just overall work management with professional services automation and field services management, just to name two in the Dynamics 365 platform. The cool thing is they all feed into this whole Power BI strategy. So using this for your project and portfolio management is really only one dimension. There's so much more value in Power BI beyond just your project and portfolio management and all the other types of things that you're doing within your organization. So from a next steps perspective, if you're interested at no charge, Wickersoft is happy to give you a free assessment and roadmap of what it might take to get you to leverage and take advantage of some of the things you've seen here today. We can even get you hooked up with an online trial with Wickersoft chaperoning that and supporting you to make sure you get the most out of that trial experience, and we'll do that for you at no charge. And even if you want a more personalized one-on-one demo that focuses on use cases that you have in mind, we're happy to schedule that with you. You'll get the copy of these slides when we get the recording to you after the presentation, but generally you can reach us at NA Sales, which is North American Sales at Wickersoft.com, or you can reach out to any of the three of us who have been speaking to you on this presentation. From a website perspective, us.wickersoft.com is our main website. We have some Project Online focused information at project-online.com. And anything that you want as far as some of our content on-demand webinars and upcoming webinars, we have a whole library of ones we've already done that are recorded, as well as a schedule of ones that are upcoming that you can register for like you did for this one here today. Matthew, are there any other questions in the panel that we need to address?
There are a couple questions in here. I was just answering one as we speak. One question was really more around licensing and such. And so the question was, thought I read something about paying for data as it comes in and out, not sure. Also, is 10 gigabytes the limit for the amount of data you can have? And so there are different ways of licensing Power BI. There's a free version, there's a pro version, as well as there's more of a kind of server node tenant version. So depending on what you're looking for, different ways and different options available. If you go with Pro, which is what most people go with, the standard kind of Pro license per person, there is a limit at 10 gigabytes per person. However, in data terms, that's billions and billions of rows of data. We're not talking about like pictures and videos and such, so that, you know, in storing data for reports, that's a ton of data. I've never seen anyone run into that limit. However, if you have some special big data use cases, as I mentioned, there's a third licensing option that could help you out there. But generally, that's not the case, especially when reporting off of Project Online data. So anyway, and you do not have to pay for inputs and outputs transactions on that Power BI Pro license as well. It's just a per user per month license fee that gets you in and being able to do all the different things that I showed today.
So those data services on that content with those OData feeds from the different non-Microsoft services, those come with your Pro license?
Yes, absolutely. Those as well, yep. Cool.
All right.
That was the main one. There was a couple other ones around licensing and such as well, but that pretty much takes care of all of them, so all good.
All right, terrific. Well, hopefully you folks got some value out of this presentation today. We're happy to do deeper dives with you if you're interested. You will be receiving an email with a link to the recording of this presentation as well as the slide deck. And so we hope you found value and enjoy the rest of your day.